today's class and our future classes. Anyways, so today what we're going to discuss is SDLC. Okay, software development lifecycle. It's a very generic term which you'll hear a lot going forward. Okay, this is going to be the theme of your career as long as you are in the software or project implementation side. Now, before I deep dive into any topic, any particular topic, especially today's topic, I want you guys to understand what this particular job entails. When I say this job, I mean business analysis. Something I used to do back in the day. As a business analyst in the healthcare industry, what does that mean? What exactly you'll be doing? What will be the expectations from you guys? So, let's say in the healthcare industry or banking industry, mortgage industry, finance industry, any industry, any organization, there is a big business team. If we talk about Chase Bank or United Health Group or any other healthcare company, there will be a big business team covering all levels of leadership. Those people are responsible for operational and business side of things. They make sure as an organization, everything is going according to their plans and according to their strategies. They are the business team. And on the other side of the same organization, there is a technical team, the IT team or tech team, whatever you want to call it. Now, when I say technical team, that doesn't mean they all are programmers. Many of them are programmers, some of them are testers, some of them are architects, some of them are database administrators, some of them are web portal administrators. There are so many technical people. But all together, they come under one single umbrella of IT team. So, in an organization, there is a business team and a technical team. Now, the caveat is these two teams usually don't get along with each other very much. It's not that they have conflicts or anything. It's not that they have any personality differences or anything. It's just that their style of doing things or the way they operate is little different. The language they speak, of course, everybody speaks English, but business people like to talk about things in business terms or layman terms. Technical people like to talk about things from technological perspective, from the systems perspective. So they are a little different from each other. But of course, they're part of the same organization. So whenever there is any project or implementation or anything which needs to be done, and you are required to bring these two teams together, they always bring a person in between who can bridge the gap, who acts as a liaison between business and technical teams, who can bridge the gap between these two teams, a middleman, somebody who has expertise on both sides of things. And that individual is a business analyst. You, the business analyst, will be someone who will act as a liaison between business and technical teams. You are somebody who bring them together. They rely on you. Who's they? Business and technical. So that is going to be the nature of your job. That is the expectation, the underlying expectation from you as a BA who can work as a middleman between these two teams. Your responsibility, your role, your actual, the work you will be doing, all the documents you will be producing is, of course, we'll discuss in detail, but this is the summary, an overall picture of how your job will look like. So far, so good? Okay, so let's start with our today's topic. As I said, SDLC is what we are going to discuss. And just one more thing, guys. Um, Before I actually, I'm sorry for the further delay, but before I deep dive into today's topic, I just want to give you a snapshot of our schedule. And I recently updated this. So the first 11 classes, as you can see, will be pertaining to only business analysis and quality assurance analysis. Okay, there will be some classes related to testing, some classes related to even SQL, okay, SQL, structured query language, just to give you an insight of how data is structured and how reporting thing works in life of a BA. So as you can see, the first 11 classes are dedicated only to business analysis, quality analysis, and some data analysis. Okay, the first 11. And then going forward, the other 11 classes will be pertaining to core healthcare topics. Okay, lots of scenarios, lots of transactions, and how things are structured and worked in healthcare industry. Okay, and out of those 11 classes, last two will be for interview preparation. Okay, to help you with your interviews, which you will be taking after these training sessions are done, and once you are brought into the market and are being marketed by the Wish Consulting's marketing team. Okay, so before I hand over the resume, you need to go through these interview prep sessions. So overall, I think we should be able to cover everything in 22 classes. I've tried to consolidate few classes so that we can get over this faster and sooner rather than later. But usually I have 22 to 25. But I think this time 22 should be good enough. Okay. So this is how your class schedule looks like, and feel free to browse your schedule after the class. One more thing, guys, whatever document, whatever artifacts, any presentations, including this one, which I review with you during our classes, will be shared with you. Okay, so after today's training session, when I send you the meeting invite for tomorrow, I will send you this presentation or whatever Word document or any spreadsheet I present during my class. Everything will be shared with you. Okay, so you really don't have to write everything down which I discussed during the presentation. Of course, I expect you to take certain notes and note some certain important keywords and terms which will be used in the healthcare industry or in your job as a business analyst. Okay, so I expect you to take some notes at least. Rest everything is in the presentation. So far so good, guys. Okay. SDLC, as I said, software development life cycle. What exactly is it? Well, it's a generic name given to a life cycle through which every software implementation has to go through. Okay, what does that mean? That means whenever you are implementing a project, any implementation, it has to go through a series of steps, a certain structure. Who decides this structure? Well, tech industry over the period of decades, after implementing millions of projects around the world, they have perfected the life cycle of how the software should be implemented. So it is what it is. The first step for any implementation, regardless of the industry, healthcare, finance, banking, doesn't matter. For any project, any implementation, the first step is the planning. This planning. This phase or this planning is conducted by senior managers and senior leadership. The senior people, all the managers get together and decide that, you know what, we need to build something. Build what? Build a website or build an app, a phone app. Why? Why are we doing this? Well, you know what? It will solve the problem. What problem? Currently, our business, our organization, forget about technology or anything. currently our business or our organization is facing a serious problem. Let's fix it. Fix it by implementing a project. It's like Bank of America or Chase Bank coming up with the idea of building a website or building an app. They're trying to solve a problem. They're trying to provide a better service to their customers. Sure, let's do it. There's a reason why they're doing it. So they plan out these things. They come up with these ideas. Business, senior leadership. During these meetings, they also involve your project manager, the IT project manager. The guy you guys, the BAs, will be reporting to. These business people, the senior leaders and the IT project manager get together and plan out a project because they want to solve a certain problem, or there is a particular opportunity they are trying to take advantage of to make more money for the firm, or whatever may be the reason. So during this phase, when they come up with this idea and they finalize that they are going to build something, the next question is, how much is it going to cost? Who will know the answer to this? The BAs? No. Who? The IT project managers or the leadership from the technical team. They will come up with the idea that, they will come up with the estimates that, okay, if you want us to build this website or build this app, it will take at least 1 year to build. We would need to hire at least 10 people. Their salaries based on 40 hours a week will be X number of dollars. That means this will cost you $10 million, including all the new licenses, all the new softwares we'll have to purchase, people we need to hire, so on. It will take 1 year, $10 million, 10 people, you're done. All these numbers, all these estimates in terms of money and effort required will be decided by the IT project managers. Project PM, the guy you the BA will be reporting to. And your project manager will be creating certain deliverables. He will be creating certain documents. What are those documents? Project plan or project charter. How do they look like? I'll send it to you. I'll show you tomorrow. High level documents. They contain all the plans related to the project implementation. How much it's going to cost, how much time will it take, who will be involved, what is the summary of the project, what's the opportunity in this project, all the high level stuff. These are the documents created during this phase. By who? By your PM. What are you doing during this phase? Not a lot. So your level of participation is low or situational. In many cases, a business analyst is not even hired in this by this phase. After the planning is done, the PM gets the approval to hire 2 business analysts, and then he will start conducting the interviews. That's when people like you, the BAs, will get hired and they'll start working. So this is the planning phase. I want you guys to remember one thing and rather note this term down, because this term is something which we will be using a lot. Stakeholders. Okay? Stakeholders. S-T-A-K-E holders. Stake. People who are involved in this project, people who own this project are the stakeholders. Business people, the business stakeholders. They are the ones who came up with the idea of building a project. They don't know anything about technology. That's why they involved your manager, the IT project manager. An OIT project manager, based upon the overall understanding of the project, he came up with the estimates. He documents it, presents it to the team. What team? The leadership, the business stakeholders. They approve it, and then project is finally kicked off. So this is the planning phase. Your participation, as I said, is very low or situational. Even if you are hired by this phase, you'll be just maybe sitting in during one of these meetings, just listening and trying to understand, trying to make sense what exactly is being expected from this project. That's pretty much it is. Now the second phase is the phase where you, the BA, will definitely come into picture. This is very important for you. This is something where you play a very, very significant role, very significant. Now planning is done. Leaders, business leaders and your manager have decided to work on a certain project. It will take 1 year, will cost $10 million. 10 more people will be hired, including 2 BAs. One of the BA is you. Okay, now let's get started. When we get started, we the BAs get started, we need to understand what are we doing? What are we building? Project for what? What kind of project is this? Is it a desktop application? Is it a website? Is it a mobile phone application? If we as a team are building a portal called Netflix, it's not a desktop application. It's an app on mobile devices, including iPads. Okay, what else? What does this system do? What are the different features? What are the different functionalities? You as a business analyst will be, excuse me, you as a business analyst will be responsible for understanding the core expectations from the system. What are the major features and functionalities of the system is something you, the BA, will need to very clearly understand and document. So in this phase, requirements elicitation and documentation is something a business analyst will do as his core responsibility. You are somebody who will facilitate requirements gathering or requirements elicitation sessions and document those requirements. It is your job. You need to make sure you note down each and every requirement, each and every feature, each and every functionality which is being expected from the system. Now, who are you talking to? You, the BA. Who are you getting all this information from? Stakeholders. People who want you to build a system will tell you what they want from the system. What do they expect from the system? How will the system look like? They will tell you everything. Now, will they just tell you just like that? No. You'll have to ask more and more more questions. You'll have to engage them in a very detailed discussion by organizing and facilitating certain meetings. One of the meetings is called JAD session, JAD, Joint Application Development. We'll discuss this in detail, don't worry. Lots of interview sessions, workshop sessions, JAD sessions is something you will facilitate. Note this term, facilitation, I want you guys to use this term, facilitation. Facilitation of JAD sessions, facilitation of meetings. Just don't say attend. BAs don't just attend meetings. They are the ones running the show. So these meetings, these big JAD sessions or meetings are jointly conducted by BAs and subject matter experts, people who are experts of their own area. If I am trying to build a website for a bank, I need representation from credit card department. the department which processes credit cards, credit card payments and all, because I don't know how that works. There's so many departments which do certain things in a certain way, which you, the BA, will not know how it is done. Will you be expected to know how it is done? Well, yes, but how will you know it? You will have to engage these people, representation from these teams, the subject matter experts from those teams, so that you can talk to them, engage them in a conversation, ask them questions, get their opinion, and then document the requirements. And of course, there will be some technical people. Don't worry, we will discuss this chat session and these requirements gathering a lot in detail in our future classes, maybe if not tomorrow, maybe day after tomorrow, and then I'll tell you how it is done. But this is something you will be doing a lot. What are the documents created? BRD, Business Requirements Document, or Business Rules Document, BRD. Who will create these? You, the BA. What is your level of participation? Very high. You play a leading role, you own this phase, you lead this phase. It's your responsibility. Requirements, elicitation and documentation from business stakeholders. By engaging business stakeholders and SMEs from different departments and technical people is something a business analyst will do for all of his implementations. I want you guys to fully understand this. That is going to be the core responsibility of a business analyst when he works in the IT industry. This is how requirements gathering session looks like. I won't get too much into details, but as you can see, everybody's gathered. Some of them are stakeholders. Some of them are technical people. Some of them are SMEs. The guy standing in the middle is a BA. You can see on the screen, there's a chart which lists the agenda. Who will decide this agenda? You, the BA, along with your PM. That okay, so for this meeting, these are all the different things I want to discuss. I want to understand the requirements for this module. I don't know what that is, so let's discuss this in detail. I will dedicate 30 minutes to this. Then there's another module. I will dedicate another 30 minutes to this, and so on. With the help of your project manager initially, eventually you will do on your own. You will decide the agenda for the meeting. You will share your screen. You will take notes. There's a flip chart you can see on the screen. You can take notes in front of everyone. You can be seated in one of those chairs and connect this projector with your laptop and take notes, and everybody can see what you're doing on your computer. Whatever notes you are taking, whatever requirements you're gathering, everybody can see. You want to do that way? Sure, why not? I've done that way. This guy standing in the middle is the showrunner. That's the reason I have put this picture in front of you. Try to imagine yourself as somebody who is in this room asking questions, engaging everyone, making sure everybody sticks to the agenda. You are the one who's asking questions, getting everybody's opinion, and gathering requirements, documenting requirements. This is what you do. We'll go a lot more detail into this scenario. Don't worry. Today's class is not intended for how to gather requirements, but this is just to show you or give you a snapshot of how requirements gathering is a very, very important responsibility of a business analyst. Now, planning is done. Project has been kicked off, means started, initiated. A BA brings everyone together, gathers requirements, documents requirements. Do you think requirements is enough? Sometimes no. You'll have to create some diagrammatic representations. Put the project in pictorial perspective. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to push you into the role of an architect. You're not responsible for creating the architecture of the system. No, that's not what I'm saying. However, you as a business analyst should be able to fully understand the core functionality of the system in such a way that you should be able to decide what are the different processes involved, what are the different areas of the system which will be or which will carry certain functions or functionalities, in what order, in what shape and form. It's your responsibility. Once you fully understand that, once you gather requirements for that, I want you guys as a BA to document a pictorial representation of the requirements or of the scenario. Flowcharts, process flows, business process flows, use cases, swim lane diagrams, sequence diagrams, all those. Now, where do you create those? How do you create all these designs, process flows? Where do you create those? On a tool. What tool? MS Visio. Just like Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, Excel, there's MS Visio. We'll discuss this in detail too. Any documents created during this phase? Yes. All the designs are part of BRD. And then there are some design documents which you will be creating. Sure. What is your level of participation as a BA? Very, very high. You own this phase. Requirements design, you own them. You play the leading role. You manage them. Some companies have only one phase called requirements, and design is part of requirements. Okay, if you don't want to segregate it, that's fine. Many companies do that way. So it's okay. Okay, don't get confused. Excuse me. So far so good, guys. Make sense? Doesn't make sense? Am I going too fast, too slow? What do you think? Any particular questions you want to ask before I proceed? Feel free to stop me anytime. What do you think? Are you okay so far? Abhiram, Gungit, and Itishri, Carl, Rohit. What do you think, guys? Don't be so quiet.
Yes, we understanding.
Okay, great. Yeah, feel free to, I want this class to be very interactive. If there's any question, anything you want to, or if there's any particular situation you would feel like challenging me, if you think you have a different opinion on something, feel free to speak up. Why not? Okay. Already. I wanted to tell you something that from an implementation perspective, business stakeholders think that, okay, so we are walking into this meeting. We, the business stakeholders, okay, we are walking into this meeting. What meeting? JAT session. And then there will be this guy, the BA, who we recently hired. He's going to ask us like 10, 15 questions. We're going to answer them. He's going to document everything. And yeah, requirements are done. Our job is done. They think that's how easy it is to gather requirements. Just like you see in the picture on the left. A BA will just walk around gathering requirements just like he's pulling apples from a tree and then he's done. It's a low-hanging fruit, but it's not. Requirements gathering is a very, very intense process. Sometimes it can be very complex. Gathering requirements, understanding requirements can be very complex and can be little hard. Why and how? Because business stakeholders in many cases don't even know what they want, or they're struggling to communicate with what exactly they are looking for. So you, the BA, will end up doing the heavy lifting and will be doing a lot more work just to get a clear understanding of the requirements. So how do we overcome these challenges? We'll discuss this in future classes. It's an interview question, by the way. What are some of the major challenges you face while working with business stakeholders? They think it's easy to gather requirements. From their perspective, everything looks easy, but from a BA perspective, it's not. You have to put in a lot of work. Only then requirements are gathered, documented, and finalized. So these two pictures are a clear representation of how the real world works for a business analyst. Now, planning is done. Requirements are done. Design is done. Lots of documents have been created. You may have noticed that I have used the term documents and deliverables interchangeably. Sometimes I call it documents, sometimes I call it deliverables. I'm not being very particular with these terms in my conversation right now. Is there any difference? Well, technically no, but philosophically yes, or literally yes, there is a difference. What's the difference between a document and a deliverable? They both are the same thing. Well, yes, they are. As a business analyst, you'll be creating a lot of documents for the project. Okay, lots of documents. But there are certain documents which are supposed to be delivered, which are supposed to be sent to the senior leadership or to other teams for approval. They are formal documents. They are in a very, very specific template. They're in a very specific format, which are created by the BA, populated by the BA, and then sent for approval to the leadership, to the technical team, to or whoever. There are specific documents like project plan, project charter, business requirements document, technical requirements document, design documents. They are very specific documents which require a lot of approval from a lot of people. So for those kind of documents, we call them deliverables. They're formal documents. So I want you guys to use this term. Nobody's going to ask you the difference between document and deliverable because there isn't any. But for the sake of conversation in an interview, I want you guys to use this term again and again. Deliverables. It sounds more professional. Say it. Requirements is done. Planning is done. Requirements is done. Design is done. Deliverables have been created, sent over to leadership. They have signed off on it. Everything is approved. Now what? What do? What is the next step? To start writing the code, the program. Who will write the code? Developers, programmers, coders. Is that you? No. You, the BA, I want you guys to remember this. You, the BA, will not be writing any code. No. Coding is not your responsibility. There will be a separate team of developers, programmers, whatever you want to call it. They are the application developers. You work with them, of course. Until now, you're at a very pivotal point, Try to think of this. You, the BA, until now, were working with the business stakeholders, the business people. And now going forward, you'll be working with the technical people. Programmers or the application developers will do all the programming. They can use any of the platforms, Java, .NET, PHP, Python, Cold Fusion, any one of them, JavaScript. Who decides these? The technical team's leadership. They decide what application they're using. Do you have any say in it? The BA? No. Any documents created during this phase? Code review. Is that a document or a deliverable? To me, it sounds more like a document. It could be a deliverable. I don't know. I have never seen technical or any business leadership or any leadership signing off on this one. I'm sure there is some approvals here and there. Could be. As a BA, I don't know. But code review. Do you, the BA, create this document? No, not at all. So what do you do then? During development phase, what do you do? Your job as a BA is first to understand the requirements, understand the design, document everything, and then conduct a formal walkthrough to the developers and make them understand what needs to be done. Until now, you were working with the business stakeholders to understand what needs to be done. You documented it, you got approval on it, and now your job is to understand all of those things to the development team. So you will conduct lots of design review sessions and requirements review sessions with the developers. For example, look at this picture. All these guys with their laptops, they're developers. And then there's a guy sitting at the corner of the desk. He's a BA. He's trying to communicate and make the developers understand what the requirements are. What do they mean? What exactly it needs to be built? Now you are coming at their technical terms and making them understand things from technical perspective. You are conducting these design review sessions. I will discuss all that in detail, don't worry. Your level of participation is low, of course, because you just have to make them understand the requirements, and then your job is done. They do the development, they do all the programming. Once the development is done, programming is done, what is the next step? Testing. Any program, any application created is tested, needs to be tested very thoroughly. Who does the testing, by the way? It is usually done by quality assurance people, QAs, testers. But in some cases, business analysts have to do testing. Those situations and scenarios I'll discuss. But yes, be prepared to do some kind of testing as part of your responsibility, your job responsibility. Yes, so be prepared. Trust me, you will be doing some kind of testing. But it depends on the client, depends on what company you're working for. During testing, the main motive is to find all the bugs and defects and discrepancies in the system. Any errors, any bugs, if there's anything going wrong, you need to find it as a tester. When Apple builds an iPhone, do you think they just start selling it? No. They test it very thoroughly. How? By finding if there is anything wrong in the system. Can you make phone calls? Yes. Can you send a text? Yes. Can you download an application? Yes. Can you delete an application? Yes. Can you charge the phone? Yes. Can you merge phone calls? Yes. Does the keypad work? Yes. If anything is not working, that means that's a bug, that's a defect. Hey, developers, fix it. So that's the idea of testing. And if anything is not working, you have to document what's not working. If Apple builds an iPhone and you're trying to test the messaging functionality and the texting is not working, you send a text, but it doesn't get successfully sent or delivered, then something is wrong. You have to document that what's not working so that developers can come in again and fix it. So defect logging is a very important part of testing. You find out what's broken. If you find it, you document it. Always remember one thing, guys. Testing is conducted only on the test server. I will go into detail later on, but understand this. You know this development phase, this programming? Programming is always done on the test server initially. When a company builds a website or an app, they build the website or an app on a test server. There are two servers in a company, test and production. Initially, everything gets created in test. And once it's created, it is tested. If anything is broken, it is fixed. If it's broken again, it is fixed again, and on and on and on until we have a 100% error-free product. And once we do, that means the system is perfect, and now we can officially launch the product for the rest of the world. Until and unless it's ready, nobody can see that product. So programming initially is done on a test server. Testing is done on the test server. If anything is broken, it is fixed on the test server. Once everything is fixed, then you're good. So programming and testing initially is conducted on the test server. Any documents created during this phase? Test plan. Your level of participation as a BA? Medium, situational, depends. As I said, will you be doing testing or you will not be doing testing? It's situational. We'll discuss those scenarios too. Now, planning is done. Requirements are done. Design has been finalized. Everything is documented, approved. You, the BA, take all that information, go to the developers, conduct a walkthrough, make them understand that what needs to be done. Okay, please start writing the code for these functionalities. They write the code. You, the BA or the tester, will test the code. Everything is working, everything is fine, everything is perfect, no errors, no bugs, great. What is the next step? Launch the product so that people can start using that website or people can download that app. That is called deployment of the project. Now is the time when everybody in the world can access that system. Until now, nobody can outside the company can use the system. Why? Because everything was currently residing in the test server, which nobody has access to. When you and I download an app on our phone, that is because that application is available to the rest of the world to download and use. But when it is being tested, it's not available to anyone. So what deployment is, when initially a product is created in a test server by programmers, testing is done on test server, everything is fine, everything is perfect, the fixed program is now migrated to the production server. Production server means everybody in the world can now see what this product is, what this website is, what this application is. That is called deployment. When you are working in the tech industry, you will hear this term a lot, like go live date or deployment date or implementation date. This is the date when the product is being launched. As part of deployment, BAs will be required to train the users in some scenarios. Okay, you'll have to train because you know all the requirements, you know all the functionalities. So if anybody is using the system, you will train them. Any documents created? User manual, training presentations. Your participation? High, of course, or medium, I would say. Not necessarily high, but medium at least. Who migrates this code, by the way, from test to production? Programmers. Upon whose approval? Leadership. But how did the leadership get the idea? Testers or the BAs sent a report that everything is error-free, bug-free, nothing is wrong in the system. We have tested it. Now we can officially launch the product. So here we go. This is deployment. Now project is launched. Everybody in the world is using that product. Something goes wrong. Something doesn't work. Something breaks. I remember I bought my first computer in late 90s. When we used to have websites and all that stuff back then, they used to crash all the time because too many people were trying to log on to the same website. So they crashed. These days, when you download a new app, few days later you find some more bugs in the system. Something is not working, something is wrong. How the hell did they not find out any of this during the testing phase? Well, they somehow didn't notice. Something went wrong. So, after deploying the project, after launching the project, something goes wrong, something needs to be fixed. You, the BA, will be supporting the project. This is called post-deployment support. As a BA, you will stay on the project for a few weeks or months. If anything goes wrong, anything needs to be fixed, you will do your due diligence, you will do your research, find out what's going wrong, what's not working. You will document the problem, communicate the problem to the developers. Developers will fix it. You will test it again. Fix goes in place. You know, when you download all these apps on your phone, and from time to time they have all these new updates for your apps, what do you think are those? They are fixes for the bugs on your app. They launch all these updates to fix all the bugs which they did not find during their testing phase. So post-deployment defect log report is something you may end up creating. Your level of participation again is high, and yeah, you will be responsible for supporting the project after implementing the project for few weeks or months. So let me just recap the whole thing. The first step was planning. Senior leadership, IT project manager get together, decide to build a system, decide to implement a project. Your PM, IT PM, will come up with the effort estimate, dollar estimate, communicate to the stakeholders or the business leadership. They approve it, you proceed. Okay, PM will deliver all these documents or deliverables, whatever you want to call it. Your participation is low. Requirements, you, the BA, will be playing a leading role. Document and gather and document all the requirements, and you will engage different people from the company. Document all the requirements, create a BRD. You play a leading role, and you facilitate all the meetings. Design is something when you put all the requirements in a pictorial perspective, representation of different aspects of the project. Create all these designs for your project in MS Visio. Put them in BRD. Your again participation is very high. Gathering and documenting requirements is not simple. It can be complex. It can be very hard. And as a BA, you should be very well equipped with all the skills to make sure how you can effectively gather all the requirements from tough stakeholders. As a BA, once everything is documented and finalized, you will conduct walkthroughs and design review sessions with the developers and make them understand what needs to be developed so that they can start writing the code. Okay. Once code is written, it is tested by you or the testers. Any bug, any defect, you find it, you document it. Developers fix it, you test it again. All the testing and programming is initially done on the test server. Your level of participation is medium, situational. You may doing some work for test plan. We'll discuss what. Once everything is fully tested, everything is done, everything is error-free, bug-free, you give the green light to your leadership. Your leadership gives the green light to the developers. Developers migrate the code from test to production. Everybody in the world has access to production server. When you open a website, that means you are accessing their production server. BAs may be required to train some users, conduct some presentations. Some documents are also created. Your participation is high during the go live date. After implementing the project, you will support the project for a few weeks and months. Anything goes wrong, you do some due diligence, find out what's going on, and then work with the stakeholders and developers, of course. Again, you play a very leading role in this phase as well. Any questions, guys? Doesn't make sense? What do you think? That's all for today. What I'll do is I will stop today's recording right now, and then please feel free to unmute yourself and go ahead with your questions.